Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special summer edition of Sports Night along with Howie Shapiro. I'm Joe Yund, and we have some really great guests that we're going to be talking to today.
I'm pretty excited, Joe. You know, we've done a few games, baseball games during the summer, but now we can actually talk about some high school sports that will be starting in the fall.
Well, and what better way to get it started than by bringing in new activities director Jeff Thompson. Jeff, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for the invite. We're excited to be here tonight.
First, give us a little bit about your background and how you came into becoming the new activities director.
Yeah, so activities has always been something that's been part of my life. It's I grew up in a small town, and there wasn't a lot to do, and there was always something going on, and I always kept that rolling throughout my time in school. And then in college, had a little bit of an injury that kind of set me back, and then got kind of behind the scenes stuff, started coaching early. Been involved in wrestling, soccer, strength training, and it's just been something that's been part of it. I've really enjoyed. I've been in the district since 2002, and I've really been part of Anoka Hennepin and really following all of these schools and all of their successes, and being able to now work on the other side as an activities director and seeing them in a different light is really fun.
Talk about, you've been at the school a little over 2 years. Talk about that natural progression, in fact, that you've had 2 years at the school and now taking over as activities director. Talk a little bit about your path there.
Yeah, and not to sound kind of cheesy, but it's a dream in the making. So when I got into the district in 2002, Coon Rapids High School was just a powerhouse in a bunch of stuff, and strong activities, a lot of really great community support. I loved going to home events at Coon Rapids because it was just filled with people. And so it was something that had always been on my radar, and I had a chance to work at the high school last year as an assistant principal, and I actually applied for the activities position a couple years ago when Tom DeVellis got it. And so it was something that has been on my kind of wish list, and I thought it was something that might happen at some point. And when it presented itself, I obviously jumped really quick, and I'm really excited to be in this capacity.
Activities director, of course, is a very broad scope. It's not just sports, it's all of the extracurricular, band, choir, and the list goes on. We obviously don't spend as much time on the others.
Yeah.
A lot of change over the years, and we've been here a long time. But a lot of change over the years. We got a bunch of new coaches coming in this year. I'm assuming there are still some searches going on. Tell us a little bit about your new coaches and what you're hoping they'll bring to the programs.
Yeah, so I think education in general has had kind of a seismic shift, and one of the things that really has presented itself is community, and Coon Rapids was ahead of the game with the establishment of one team, and we worked very hard last year, and we'll continue that work as a unit, really trying to bring that sense of community and what that looks like. And so I got to be involved in several of the new head coaches, hiring them, and really without having to ask it, those were things that they brought very evident in their interviews, bringing a variety of different ways to get kids excited about being involved in activities, getting kids excited to be part of something, getting kids proud of having that CR on the front and being able to represent that in a variety of different ways. We always want to hear what the kids are saying, and we always want to listen to what they're saying, and as a result, some of the things besides athletics have presented themselves. And so we have a variety of activities that happen. Every night our school is hustling and bustling with all sorts of different things going on, from badminton to K-pop club to our BSU club, and on and on and on. So it's I tell everybody I get the pleasure of dealing with all of the amazing things that happen in the school outside of the classroom. As an assistant principal, I was focused within the classroom, and so this is now that really awesome, rich world that is outside the classroom. So a lot going on, but ever changing, ever evolving, but always very exciting.
When you decided you wanted to interview again for this, you must have had a game plan on what you want to present. Talk a little bit about your game plan and what you bring to this position for your first year starting off in the fall quarter.
Yeah, I think I bring a variety of things, and I'm not saying other candidates don't have this, but just being in education for 25 years now, and seeing kind of the ebb and flow, knowing the history of Anoka Hennepin, and knowing the things that they've done, things that we've succeeded in, things that we've struggled with, as well as having been a head coach for quite a decent amount of time, and having worked in a variety of capacities, everything from concession stands to I ran a Harry Potter club when I was at Andover High School. And so just kind of having that pulse and understanding what a system needs, and then also when things aren't working, I think is important. So try to showcase and focus on some of those things.
You mentioned, when you began in the district back in the early 2000s, Coon Rapids was a powerhouse in a number of different things. When we began this, we started doing covering Coon Rapids sports back in '97.
Yeah.
It seemed that all of the coaches had been long established coaches, guys like Gary Rover and Terry French for the two basketball programs. You had Clayton Koppel.
Clayton Koppel, yep.
At the time,
I think Gundy was still around.
Gundy was.
Gunderson
Yep.
was
Yeah.
still around.
Jim
I mean,
Hippie.
the
Yeah, there's a
list,
lot.
the list goes
Yeah.
on. These were all guys
Yeah.
who had 20 plus years
Yeah.
of coaching experience. And now what we seem to be seeing is a revolving door, especially in certain sports more than others, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to try and get these new coaches you have coming in to see this as a destination rather than a stepping stone?
Yeah, and I think there are a variety of factors that get into kind of that long-term plan. One of it is that the requirements are far greater than they've ever been. When I first started coaching, you kind of coached the season and that was it, and now it's year long. And now it's not just things within your system. You have to incorporate a bunch of other variables as well. And we're trying to keep up with that. I don't know if you've seen our new weight room and some of the things that are going in there,
Incredible.
but I mean, it's high-level fitness training. We had a couple coaches and some alumni come in for a leadership academy we did, and focusing on a variety of aspects that go into it. And it is more than it's ever been, and sometimes that becomes overwhelming. And so one of the things that I hope to be able to do is take off some of those pressures and some of those stressors, so that coaches can go back to finding their passion and why they do it, the love for the sport, the love for the interaction. And the same thing with the activities, finding staff members that are passionate about the things that the students want, and then feel supported, feel validated, feel heard as they are working through those things. And there's always ebb and flow. There's a variety of different factors that it's hard to quantify. Sometimes a spouse has to move a career, and that causes a movement and things like that. And sometimes people don't realize how much things are involved until they get into that. And when I transitioned from assistant to a head, there is a pretty quick learning curve of just how different it is. And so I hope to be able to create an atmosphere and an environment and a systems of support that we can hopefully get some of those coaches in it for the long haul, because that does make a difference.
One of the things that concerns me a little bit with the size of the school is that you don't always get the amount of kids out for sports or band or whatever it is.
Yeah.
How does some of the things that you're thinking of, how to increase that?
Yeah, so we it's interesting that you asked that question, because we were just kind of problem solving this last week and actually yesterday as a activities director group, trying to look at some different things, and I can't divulge all of those yet, because some of those are kind of some blueprint things, but really continuing to offer the things that students want to be in, but to also be mindful of what their needs are. Obviously one of the things that always inhibits anybody involved, and it happened when I was a kid, is the finance side of things. Lacrosse is, my son plays lacrosse, and lacrosse stick was $400, and he broke it. And so I was like, no, let's not break any of those, And so there's a bunch of different factors that impede with that. So I'm meeting with the Coon Rapids City Council in a couple weeks here to try to put together a plan to be able to get some support from our Coon Rapids community, some of our larger companies, in the form of an endowment that we can try to creatively fix some of these financial things. The district, as always, looks to be creative in financial planning to be able to support us and to do the things we did. One of the things that I cannot applaud the district enough for was the turf and the practice turf. That has changed our ability to be competitive throughout the metro. So just trying to work on a variety of different factors.
So we saw a few years back when, playing on what he was talking about, how many kids are coming out, because of participation levels and some other factors. The football team was able to drop from a 6A down to a 5A for a few years. Now they're kind of building back up into that 6A level. And now we're going to see the girls basketball team go from 4A down to 3A this year.
Yeah.
Are there other programs that you're looking at to potentially move to get them in a class where they may be more competitive?
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty in-depth process as you kind of present yourself. And so it's really trying to be mindful of the sport that you're looking at, kind of the historical context of not just the year, but previous years, looking at enrollment numbers and things like that. We had a couple of sports at the time that we had looked at possibly trying to get into a class that they could be competitive in. But it goes the other way as well, and you just gave the example with football. It's not trying to find easier games. It's not trying to escape an opponent. It's about trying to find an opportunity for the athletes to be competitive and have schools with situations. And then when that changes, to get them changed into the right class. And so we aren't the only ones that have gone back and forth, as far as changing some of those classes. But so there's a couple that we had thought this year besides girls basketball. But that it didn't get approved, and just continue to look at that. So, I constantly, hopefully, reevaluate and find that right fix.
Well, we were very happy that you came and joined us. We could keep going and going.
I know.
I can tell. But,
It goes so fast.
We do also have Coach Russin in to talk a little bit about the upcoming football season.
Absolutely.
So we'd like to thank you for coming out. We look forward to working with you moving forward.
And thank you for your coverage. And like you said, you're excited to get back to some of the high school sports, and we're excited to have our fans and support. And so everybody that's watching, get out there and enjoy Cardinal Nation.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us, Jeff.
Thanks so much.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with head coach Nick Russin right after this. Welcome back to a special sports night along with Hog Shapiro. I'm Joe Young, and now we're happy to have Coach Nick Russin in. And Coach, how's the excitement level with just a couple weeks away from football?
I think the boys are ready to go. We are chomping at the bit to get started this year, less than 2 weeks away. It's been a great summer. It's been an action-packed summer, but we're ready to go, and we can't wait.
You guys are moving up a little bit in terms of obviously the competition you're playing. You're back to playing Blaine, Anoka, Champlain Park, those kind of games. Talk a little bit how you're going to prepare your team for that next level.
Yeah, we're really excited about the opportunity that is ahead of us this year. I think as I came into the program, I think this was sort of a goal to kind of get this back to 6A football, to play the schools that are right next to you, Anoka, Blaine, Champlain's, all of those schools. It's going to be a tall task. We understand the challenge that's ahead of us. The higher you go up, the higher the competition. There tends to be obviously the more players on the team. The coaching staffs tend to be a little bit more experienced and all that. So, yeah, we were just talking as a staff this week about setting the standard for our boys and setting the standard for us as a coaching staff to make sure that our details, our organization, our communication, the schemes that we're putting in, the practice plans, how to be creative, has to raise another level. And but we're up for it though. Obviously, we don't really know how the season quite will unfold, but we think we have the talent in the boys now to really compete at the highest level.
So after dropping back and then making the run to the state tournament, over the last couple of years, you've played essentially a 5A schedule, but then played in the 6A tournament, and clearly competition was next level. How much will it help having that stronger regular season schedule to get you ready for that tournament time?
I think it's going to help a ton. We talked as a staff, and there's a lot of logistics behind the scenes of how the schedule unfolds and, kind of the relief that you could get. We ultimately felt that as a program, we were probably going to have to play a 6A playoff. So we just kind of figured, well, why not just play the best of the best? We're going to really see a lot about our team, the character of our team. And I think it will make us stronger in the end. We're confident going into week to week. We also know that it's a great learning experience. Whether you win or lose, there are things that you have to take from those games. And ultimately, when you get in the playoffs, right, it's win or go home. And to be in those pressure situations throughout a season, to play the competition, we just hope it mentally prepares our boys. Obviously, we'd love to win every game, and the expectation is to try to win every game. But as long as we're playing our best football, I think going into the playoffs, I think we feel very confident about making a run.
Obviously, you want to be successful on the field, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, like conditioning and learning your playbook. And talk about the work that the guys are doing over the summer, prepare their bodies and their minds for the start of the season.
We got into our players' years towards the end of the school year. We had our meetings, and we kind of got the schedule, was able to release it to them. They were excited about it, and right from that moment, is about raising the expectation. So right away at the last week of school, we did our O&D camp. That's a 4-day process, Monday through Thursday, of implementing our scheme, so the boys have an understanding of what plays they're learning throughout the summer. One weekend off, June basically 12th, we're right into summer strength training, Monday through Thursday. 7:30 to 9:15, there's conditioning, there's a strength training component of that. And we've been very excited about the consistency that we've seen from our players this year of them doing that. We've also have 7-on-7 scrimmages. We've had scrimmages with other schools. And then we've had practices typically on Wednesdays that we've put in. So it's been a lot, but it's fun. And I think within that schedule in the summer, you also want them just to be themselves and enjoy summer. We want our boys chomping at the bit. We also want them go be a high school kid. Go hang out with your friends, go to a beach, relax. When you come into the season, you have your preparation sort of done, and then we can kind of get going with it. So, yeah, a lot of moving parts with it. There's some fundraiser stuff, too, that we've had them do. But it's been very exciting. It's been very fun. And, again, I think we're just excited to get started.
So last year we saw two different junior quarterbacks who both showed they had the capability to run the offense and maybe brought a little bit different things to it. I know that we've seen a lot of Jacob Maddock in baseball over the summer. I know Jackson Hetwer spent a lot of time playing basketball and was quite successful. Talk about coming in with two guys that either way you're going to have somebody competent in that position.
We're very lucky and fortunate to be in the position that we are in. I know there's the old cliche when you have two quarterbacks, you have none, right? That's kind of how it goes. We really do have two kids that we are very confident that can go out there on a Friday night and compete and put us in the best position to be successful. Whether it's Jacob that kind of gets the starting job, whether it's Jackson, both of them will support each other. I think that's been really cool. As we kind of went through the battle last year, it made my job super easy as it's just not a head coach, but obviously as an offensive coordinator, to go with a guy and not feel like the other guy was going to pout or mope or talk behind his back. They were very supportive of each other. I think that was great about it. We felt that knowing their comfort level, not just with our system, but with each other, we were able to kind of make those transitions and just kind of go with the guy that we felt would give us the best opportunity to win. And they both bring different skill sets to the game. But they're both very smart. They both have high football IQs. They're both athletes. They both can make plays. And I think we have a pretty strong skill set around them this year. But now we'll just make them look good. They're going to probably make me look very good as well, hopefully.
So You know what you have that's coming back from a year ago, and you've obviously got some new kids. What do you like about this squad going into this season? What are some of the things that you're saying, we're excited about this aspect of our game?
I think from an offense to a defense perspective, passionate and explosiveness. I think we have playmakers on both sides of the football and then at a lot of positions. I think there's still a lot of moving parts that we obviously have to get situated, but I just think seeing our players compete this summer, seeing them in the weight room, we have some dudes, man. We really do, and we are just excited to put them in positions to be successful. Whether that's kid playing maybe both ways. It's a kid, just playing DB, playing a receiver, and even some of our linemen. We're excited about the group of linemen that we have too going into this season, and we think that's just going to make us a better football team all around of just the pure athletes that we have. And so I think that's just kind of what's most exciting. I think the potential of our football team is really high. Again, we don't know how it shake out. We have to put the work in, and the boys understand that. But I think if you're looking at it paper, it's exciting.
So as we talk about what you have coming in, it would be hard not to talk about Kaijon Cummings-Coleman. He's the most highly recruited Coon Rapids football player in many, many years. My question is, how do you put him in a position, because other teams are well aware of who he is, how do you put him in a position to be successful, show his skills, but not feel that the whole weight of the team, all that pressure is on his shoulders?
That's a great question. I think that's been something this offseason we've really tried to look at, as a staff, especially as an offensive staff, how do we do that? We have a lot of other players too that we feel very confident that we can get the ball and make plays, but Kai is a very special athlete, right? When he touches the ball, we can see what he can do. He can take the top off the defense. He can take a bubble and take it 86 yards. So without giving too much away, but we really feel that we have some formations and stuff that we're going to kind of adapt this year that's going to put him in different spots, whether it's getting us an advantage with a matchup or an advantage with a number, because we want to get him the ball as much as possible. But I think there is that fine balance of, he can only touch it so much, but obviously we want him to get him a lot of touches, but not having to feel that like every single time that we're not doing what's best for our football team, if that makes sense. We want to, at the end of the day, call a play, design a play that we feel can be successful, not just for him, but for everyone on our football team. So I think that's super important for us. But yeah, I think we just have to be super creative of kind of where we put him. We kind of, the Deebo Samuel treatment a little bit from the 49ers. He's out wide, he's in the slot, he's in the backfield. I think that's just kind of what we have to do with him. And, that will display his skill set, I think, to the highest level.
A guy who I was impressed with was Logan, on the other side of Kai, and I've seen that he's worked really hard this offseason at his skills. I mean, that's an important, I think he adds a lot to your offense because it can maybe take some of that pressure away from Kai.
Yeah, I think, Lofton is a kid that we feel very confident that the amount of time and stuff that he's put in. I just kind of made this note the other day. I think a lot of teams would, probably have, Lofton as a true number one, and we're lucky that we have him and Kai. We really feel that we have two potentially D1 athletes at that wide receiver position that we just have to put those guys in spots, getting them a matchup that we think is favorable in our position, moving them both around. I think it gives us a lot of flexibility with kind of like a skill set with Lofton. The kid's super strong. He's really increased his speed, so we can go at 10 personnel, we can go at 12 without really having to sub a lot of people. And so, I think we have a lot of creativity when it comes to our offense this year, and obviously it kind of falls on me and our offensive staff to, design what's best for them. And we're excited. Again, I know I keep saying that word, but it's the potential of our football team is really high, and it's probably one of the more talented teams I've had in my 5 years now.
Well, thanks for correcting me because I knew his name was Lofton and I said Logan. I appreciate you. I appreciate you
We're
correcting me.
also excited about Logan Ness.
Logan Ness is exciting too. But
no,
I knew his name was Lofton. I don't know why I said Logan, but I appreciate you correcting me so I don't look too stupid.
So 5 years as head coach. No secret that you're a Blaine alum. Talk about what it's going to be like to take your team against your alma mater for the first time.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting when we get there. I know that Blaine staff really well. Some of those guys are still friends of mine. I think it's one of those right now. I know it's on the schedule. I know it's week 7. I know it's on a Thursday. I know it's homecoming, all that stuff. I think when we get to that week, probably the excitement and the emotions will come out a little bit more. And when you go up against your alma mater, you always want to come out on top. And so we're just excited. We're excited to see Blaine on the schedule. I know our players know a lot of their players. Blaine's a school that's had a lot of tradition. It's had a lot of success. It's a well-established program. They're well coached over there. We understand the challenge ahead, of what they bring to us. And so we hopefully can, go into that game, have a lot of energy with homecoming, compete, and hopefully come out on top.
Zach would not be happy with me if we didn't touch on the defensive side of the ball. Talk a little more on the defense and what you're looking for and what they're going to bring to the season.
Yeah, I think that's another side of the ball for us. I think it's going to be very turnover opportunistic. We had a lot of seniors last year that we lose. So we are losing a lot of that leadership, guys who are in the program all 4 years. So we're looking for some of those guys like Logan Ness, a Kenny Wells, to really be leaders with their voice more than anything on that side of the ball. I think it will take some time. Obviously, that kind of falls on Zach a little bit to kind of get the pieces organized. But again, I think it's just another side for us that has a lot of potential. We just kind of need to see who fits where, who can make us a better football team to ultimately compete at the highest level. But I think we're excited. I think we will surprise some people with the physicality that we can bring. And I think Coach Nienaber has done an excellent job preaching turnovers. Bad plays will happen, but hey, we can change the game, and just like that, you get a fumble or an interception, something to that nature. So, yeah, we're excited. I know he's very excited, and I think you're going to see some probably familiar faces from the offense. Probably get some reps on the defensive side too.
So season kicks off a little less than a month away. Talk about going into Centennial Week 1.
So great program. It's a very tough football team. That's a school that's done an excellent job over the X amount of years now of being 6-2, 7-1, and winning most of their football games. They run a very tough defense. We know that we have to be detailed oriented in how we scheme them. Their offense is sound. They don't really beat themselves a whole lot. They've been a team that's been in the state tournament now the last few years. It's a great challenge right away out of the get-go. I think everyone has those high hopes. Everyone, 0-0, but we have to understand that we have to put the work in. That's a team, again, that will rarely beat themselves. If we're not prepared, if our boys aren't, ready to work, we'll very quickly be 0-1 after week 1. And so, yeah, it's a great challenge. I think, it kind of reminds me a little bit of going against St. Thomas Academy. Teams that just are always mentally and physically prepared for the season ahead. So I think our boys understand that. And if they don't, we'll make sure they understand it. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
Well, we want to thank you for coming in. Again, we could keep going, but very happy to have you in here with us. And we're very excited to watch you throughout the year. Thanks again for being with us. But that's going to do it for this special summer sports night. For the entire crew here, including my partner, Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young. Say good night.